Hello and welcome to a bit of a special edition of Fleetcast. I'm here with the lovely Paul, who we haven't
Hello.
actually been on the same podcast since December, have we?
No, I don't do many of these days. It's a kind of it's a rare appearance from me.
It's a
I like to
sighting of
hide my face behind like streaming games rather than doing these.
yes, but you have decided to jump on to help me this evening because we're doing
Voluntold.
but voluntold makes me sound so bad, but okay. It's a good job. I know you like me really sometimes. But yes, this edition was meant to be us talking with Phoebe about LGBTQ things in Star Trek, but I got a bit poorly in the week, so we missed that edition that's scheduled. We didn't get a chance to record it, but we decided that as con season just we're kind of in the middle of con season. We've had the big ones. We've had San Diego. We've had Star Trek Destination. We've had Dragon Con. We've had Star Trek Las Vegas. We thought we'd kind of get on and just discuss a couple of things that have been happening or they've announced because seems to be quite a lot all of a sudden all at once, isn't there?
There is, yeah. I mean, we when we were preparing for this, there's like three or four things announced, and that's not really including anything around Strange New Worlds, um, the new season that's like around the corner as well. So
Yeah,
there is a few new bits and pieces coming,
yeah.
in addition to what's already out there.
Yeah, so I think maybe we should just start with one of the first ones because I think the biggest one that's been announced is it was something that we kind of none of us expected was the comedy series that they've announced, which I really didn't expect that we would have Tawny Newson and Justin Seaman with a new Star Trek in development because there's been nothing whatsoever announced around this, unless I've completely missed it at some point.
No, I knew that Tawny was joining the writing crew for something. I think that was the first I'd heard about it. I didn't realize it was a proper comedy series.
Yeah,
I thought it was probably like a spin-off of Lower Decks or something similar to that. So it was a
yeah.
little bit of a surprise to hear about it, and I'm cautiously optimistic. We don't really know loads about it yet, but
Yeah, kind
um,
of all we do know is it's a live action comedy, and it's a Federation outsiders serving a gleaming resort planet find out that their day to day exploits are basically broadcast to the entire quadrant. I'm kind of seeing it as Big Brother or what's that show? What was the film with?
Truman Show
That's it, Truman Show. I'm kind of feeling that kind of vibe around it, which yeah.
could work. I mean, it could end up being something like The Good Place or something like that. I feel like that's the direction they might go, showing that kind of vein, a bit more situational comedy.
Yeah, but I'm yeah, very much like yourself. I'm very kind of cautious, but I am very kind of I'm happy to hear this because I had this really really dark view of Star Trek. Maybe next year us basically get into a desert and not having any more Star Trek for a while because obviously we've got Strange New Worlds, we've got the another series that they've announced, we've got the film Section 31, but we don't have much else. They've not kind of continued any of the other things that they've said they wanted to.
No, there's rumors. There's always rumors. There was
Yeah.
rumors of this Star Trek prequel sort of thing that's been talked about. I don't know. I think that was a JJ verse thing that's been floated. I know that there's everyone's been pitching for Star Trek Legacy,
Yes.
which I'd love to see.
Oh, I
I
would
don't get me wrong.
so
Would love
love
to
to
see
see
him do
it.
something good with that. Um, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think you're probably right, but sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes it's good for them to take a little bit of a break and take stock
Yeah.
and
I'm just I'm just I'm
develop some new ideas.
very, very sad that we are gonna be losing lower decks.
Oh yeah,
Because
sure.
yeah, that's another piece of news that's come out in like the last couple of days is kind of lower decks and they've kind of said when the fifth and final series is going to drop. So that's like Thursday, the October the 24th in the USA and internationally. To me, it probably sounds like it's going to happen Thursday night, and then on Friday morning, like normal, 8 a.m., we'll probably get it. It kind of feels like that, but obviously there's been the trailer that's come out. I don't know if it's come out today or the last couple of days. I haven't had a chance to actually watch it myself. But the trailer's come out. But obviously we've only got, I think, what did they say? I didn't see how many episodes of Lower Decks they said they were having, but it kind of ends on the 19th of December. So that's I would say it's only about what, six to eight episodes maybe.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, because obviously,
Unless they do groups of episodes, unless they do two-parters or release. No,
yeah,
if they know it's a finale, they may well do a feature-length final.
I hope so, because I am not ready to say goodbye to these characters, to be honest. I have loved every single moment of Lower Decks, and anytime anyone mentions Lower Decks, I cannot help but go, Lower Decks, Lower Decks, Lower Decks. I love the characters, and I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but to me it feels like it's a love story to Star Trek and everything I love about
100%.
Trek. Yeah.
100%. I think if for me the dream would be that if they did greenlight something like Legacy, that they could actually convince some of the actors to play themselves from Lower Decks in live action again.
Yes.
I would really like to see, even if it's just as cameos, like they did in Strange New Worlds. I'd love to see something like that, just a little bit of a nod, a
Yeah.
little bit of a recognition for that, because I think that'd be really, really good.
Yeah, and but and what I loved about the Strange New Worlds and Lower Decks kind of crossover is it kind of brought them in to the family, and a lot of people that were very cautious of watching Lower Decks because they'd seen it on Strange New Worlds. They actually then went to see because they thought, oh, it's a kids program, or it's this, it's that, and I really,
Mm.
really love the positive vibes that Lower Decks has. It doesn't take itself seriously, and I really think that's what we kind of needed from a Trek series because a lot of them have been very a lot of them have been dark. They've been very what's the word I'm looking
Take
for?
themselves very seriously.
Yeah, but like they've got very meaningful stories. They're very, oh,
Yeah.
it's the end of the universe and we have to do this. I don't find necessarily that Lower Decks has that because they're, what are they, second contact ship.
Mm.
So it's a very different vibe, and I just, yeah, I'm not ready to say goodbye.
Slight tangent conversation though, but something you just reminded me of there was a conversation I'd seen recently, which, because I know you've been watching Doctor Who, bit of a shout
Yes.
out to the videos that you've been doing reviewing Doctor Who episodes, and the way that the most recent season of Doctor Who was structured felt like it was structured in the same way as some of the Discovery seasons, I
Yeah,
think, in
yeah,
the kind of long, overarching kind of story building up to a big finish, and whether comparatively it works for Doctor Who compared to Star Trek. And I just thought that's a really interesting kind of way, a dynamic that a lot of series are going at the moment. And I hope, I
yeah,
don't know, I'm wondering whether Lower Decks will still do something like that. Because they did lean into it a little bit in the last season
yeah.
with the kind of build up to a bigger thing, or whether they'll go back to a more kind of traditional approach of just episode of the week and then sort of big.
It's really hard to tell from the trailer that I saw a while back. I don't know if the trailer that I've seen floating around today is just an expansion on it. But I couldn't tell that from previously. But that is a good point because I also want to bring up the fact that while they were at, I think it was Las Vegas Con, they actually had an international day of friendship, and the creators, well, not creators, the writers of both Star Trek and Doctor Who learned that there'd be a limited time crossover event between the mobile games.
Mm.
I absolutely love it. I played it. I had to delete it though because I was like, I am losing far too much time on this game. But to anyone who was playing the mobile games for Doctor Who and Star Trek, I would highly recommend because it's hilarious. Some of the concepts that they've had, and they've had like River Song appear and things like that. So it's fun. It's fun, and I love the fact that they've done this for us because we shouldn't have to pick a tribe. We should be allowed to to enjoy them all.
We're all sci-fi nerds at the end of the day. Let's be honest. Come on.
Yes, we should be able to enjoy them all. But yeah, it's interesting that you said that about Doctor Who, because I kind of got the vibe for this series that it was very much going back to like the original stories, like the original way of storytelling. And I just wonder if it's kind of if that kind of storytelling is coming back. But you know, I don't know.
Something for a future podcast discussion.
Possibly. But yeah, I think there's just so much that's come out over the last kind of couple of weeks. We've got the Academy series that's been that has been thrown around for years and years and years. I remember it being thrown around in the early 2000s. You know, they wanted to do something then, and the fact that we are now finally getting it like 24 years later is awesome. But the casting, I think we need to talk about the casting. They've kind of gotten it, because they've got Tig Narato, they've got is it Odida I apologize for my pronunciation of it. It's awful, and I love this actor. You know, we've got Mary Wiseman, and we've got Robert Picardo, who my mind is blown that we are getting this character in Star Trek Academy. For anyone who doesn't realise who Robert Picardo is, he plays the EMT from Star Trek Voyager. How they're going to make this work?
Well, he's a hologram. He can potentially be immortal. I've seen some speculation floated around that there was the Living Witness episode of Voyager where he got abandoned on a planet and like hundreds of years passed, and then they say at the end that he set off back home in a ship. And so I've seen speculation that it's going to be he found his way home kind of thing.
Because they have said
possibly
specifically that it's the Doctor. You know, it is the Doctor. That's going to be great. And the fact that we've got Tilly. I love the fact that we've got Tilly. For anyone who doesn't know, I crush hard on Tilly. Crush hard. I don't care who doesn't get on board with this. I crush hard, and the fact that we've got Tig Narato, who is my second favourite engineer. I love the character that she plays.
She was brilliant in the most recent season. I think she had some great moments.
And
I think as well, it's worth pointing out though. It's worth kind of pointing to some of the heavyweights that they're bringing in to the Star Trek franchise in terms of Holly Hunter, big name actress.
Yes.
Paul Giamatti, who I think is fantastic in all the stuff I've seen him in, regardless of what that is. He's a big name actor as well. So for him to join the franchise, that's a statement in itself. So I'm excited. I think they've said already that he's playing the villain.
I think so.
Again,
yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Perfect. You've got a proper recognizable heavyweight to play the villain. That'll work. In comparison to, I think, because there's quite a lot of new names being mentioned, people we've not heard of to play kind of more probably the lead. I don't know if they'll be the leads, but maybe the focus characters. I don't know.
Cadets. Yeah, that was the kind
you don't know where it'll focus.
Yeah, the kind of vibe I got from the announcement that they put out today, because they've, I think it was today or yesterday, they've put out another cadet. So I don't know. I think the vibe I'm getting is a lot of the new actors and actresses that we haven't heard of are going to play the cadets, and they've kind of put out as kind of what the plot's going to be. I think I've seen that today. Let's see if I can. Oh no, I've gotten off it. But basically, it's something around Starfleet Academy, the best of the best, but can they survive this coming of age story? And I was like, I'm not entirely sure how I feel on that vibe. But I am excited the fact that we've got these characters.
I like that because it'll be different. I think if I would have advocated for a sort of Starfleet Academy show years and years and years ago. I would have loved to have made a game out of it. I played the original video game Starfleet Academy with the FMVs. It's got like George Takei, Shatner in it, people like that, and the story of it is really good as well. Like the actual storyline through it.
I don't remember it, but I do remember playing it.
It has, because the focus character is not necessarily one, but it's the group of cadets in this kind of, they're forming a crew together, they work together, they have different roles, etc. But there's that kind of tension between different characters, like you'd expect.
Hmm.
There's the element of, oh, we're still young, we're still learning, we're making mistakes, but then they get pulled into kind of solving mysteries and stuff. So there's all that going on. I think this could be kind of a step up from high school drama Star Trek. I think it could, for me, I think it could go in a really good direction, especially if it's done in the right way as a
Yeah.
mature version of that coming of age story compared
Yeah.
to. I don't mind a departure from hard sci-fi.
Yeah, sometimes you do need that departure. But I've not heard much more, or I've not heard anything
No,
around when they're going to start filming or anything like that. But yeah, it should be good. And I can imagine we're probably going to get it maybe the end of next year. So
oh, without a doubt.
we'll probably get like more trailers this time next year at like the big cons, so Las Vegas, Dragon Con, all of those type of things. We'll probably get there'll probably be the big announcements for next year.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just I think it's interesting that they finally gone with this kind of route. I think it's because they didn't want to lose actors and actresses like Mary Wiseman and Tig Notaro because they've been so positive around Star Trek. I do wonder if that's kind of finally what's kind of shifted them into doing it.
yeah, it's interesting because I would have said for years that just after DS9 and Voyager would have been the perfect time to do something like that because you can get those actors who were interested in staying on board back
Hmm.
to play stuff. So I mean, obviously Robert Picardo is coming back, so that's one of them. But my mind was always, oh, you can get cameos from TNG, DS9, Voyager cast members playing guest lecturers at the
Yeah,
academy. That would be really easy to do. Bring them in for an episode, learn a lesson, move on, type
yeah,
thing. But I think, yeah, I mean, it's in some ways it's really good that they're not just going to completely leave the Discovery end of the universe alone.
yeah. Because I
They're
think
gonna,
I
well,
think I would.
originally I wouldn't have liked that, but I think it's right that they're doing that.
That's what I was gonna say. Isn't it?
Yeah.
I think the fact that they went forward in time, and they've created a whole kind of new space to create stories. It would be disappointing if they just left that now. You know,
Mm.
after what we had, what two, two, 3 seasons there,
Yeah, two, three,
three.
two full seasons, probably three. I don't know.
We've had
It's all
enough.
merged into one. It's
Yeah,
all blended into
but the
one.
problem is, do you not find that because we have such small series now, they do kind of merge together?
They do, and I think there's still mysteries about that time period that they've not necessarily explored yet. Like
Yeah,
I know people have said, well, the Romulans and the Vulcans combined again in the future, which is great. They had reunification, but we don't hear anything about the Klingons. Like they're not mentioned at all
no.
at any point. So what happened to them? Like, so there's definitely stories that they can tell about
But
what happened,
I do wonder if that was because of all the controversies
the
over.
backlash. Yeah,
Yeah, I personally love the Klingons in all forms and formats. I love them, and I love the Chancellor. Yeah, probably best not to go into that one. That's a whole other episode. That is a whole other episode. But yeah, and then obviously I think we need to get to the final one, Section 31
mm.
trailer that we've had out. Oh my god, I did not expect that to be the vibe of the trailer or the film.
No, it has. It has. I was trying to think of what I would compare it to. I think the closest thing I could think of was something like Suicide Squad.
Yeah, that is literally the comparison that I had myself because that's the only way I can kind of explain this because there are so many different parts to this trailer. Like I kind of can't figure it all out because I can't work out if it's prime, like 2400s,
Mm,
or if it's when she left, the Empress left, or whether it's some other time. Because to me, it looks like they've got a Borg, a reclaimed Borg, as one of the
mm.
characters. But I really cannot make up my mind when it's
It's
set.
difficult as well because they've got the modern aesthetic on things, so all the kind of like more recent technology
Yeah,
graphics on it means that
yeah,
you can't necessarily place it quite as easily as well.
yeah. But I am very excited for what's going to happen, and the fact that we are getting this after Michelle has become such a big actress in what, 2 years? Two 2 years? It's about 2 years.
She's been around for longer than two
Yeah,
years.
but you know what I mean, like the fact that she's getting all these nominations, and obviously
Yeah,
she got an Oscar, didn't she? Or was it a Golden Globe? Or
she won awards for Everything Everywhere All at Once. I know that
yeah.
for sure.
So the fact that she's such a big actress, I think Paramount they've done some definite contract work there, and they've kind of managed to tie her into something around this character. But I'm relieved that we're going to see this character at least one more time, because I love the Empress. I she she creates a lot of stories for me and Rosie, so yeah.
I think it's probably the case. I suspect it's the case that Michelle Yeoh really likes playing the character. I think it's probably a role that she's enjoyed playing and
Yeah,
thought I'd like to do more with that. Um, so picking out the right story for it as well. So she seems to, in every scene I've seen her in Discovery particularly, she looks like she's having fun,
yes.
which I think is always a good sign.
I do love the fact
I
that we get this
think the
character.
the only nuance to it, the only nuance to what I've seen from the trailers is I think I was expecting something a little less silly from a Section
Yeah,
31 series. I was expecting more like heart, like murky.
yeah,
I think that's possibly what I was missing from scenes that they've shown us so far. Which
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe we'll get some of that, but I don't necessarily feel like I saw that.
Yeah, it definitely does feel sort of Suicide Squad versus Star Trek, but I'm not disappointed. I'm very excited to see this. My only problem is, from the sounds of it, it feels like it's only going to be on Paramount Plus. It's not going to be at the cinema. It's not going to be anything. I am a bit disappointed about that, because
Mm.
I would have loved to go see it at the cinema. I think it would have been up on the big screen, but it's what they
It also
kind of,
draws more attention to it if it's at the
yeah.
cinema. If it gets a cinema release, you get more mainstream attention potentially.
Yeah, but I think Paramount are also very cautious about the fact that, with all the other news that have come out, that they're closing their television studio company side of things, aren't they? And
Yeah,
transferring everything under CBS. I do wonder if it's them kind of going, okay, well, we've already got this format. It's not going to cost us anything to necessarily put it onto that format. We'll just put it there. I'm just disappointed that they've done that, because I think, like you
yeah.
said, it will get to more people. Because there are a lot of people that are still very much on the, well, I'm not paying for it. I'm not paying for Paramount Plus. We never used to have to do that in the 90s. Things
I'll
change.
be honest, it's crossed my mind. Like, aside from Strange New Worlds, there's not loads of programming on Paramount Plus that I'm really
Yeah.
keen on at the moment, as compared to other streaming services.
Yes. Yes. It's unfortunate, and I definitely do think I think Star Trek would be better under maybe the mouse, under Disney.
I don't know. I think you could pick any other company like Amazon. Probably would have got a lot of good money to throw at something like that. I think they could.
Yeah, I
They've
just
shown they've got a lot of money. They don't. I don't. They're inconsistent with the way they've used it. I would suggest there've been some good projects and some not so good projects, but you'll get
it's
that with every company.
yeah, I just don't think Paramount have got enough money behind them at the moment to throw as much as Disney and Amazon have at content.
Mm.
I just don't think they've got it to warrant their own app and
Mm.
their own streaming service. But that's me.
They don't pay us the big bucks to make these kinds of business decisions, unfortunately.
No, no, because if they did, there'd be a lot more merch. There'd be a lot more Star Trek merch. But I'm not going to get myself into that ramble, because I do it every podcast. You know,
Make your own.
but I'm doing Fallout. But yes, I just think there's been so much come out in the last sort of month or so. So it's not necessarily going to be a bad winter, I don't think, with Star Trek. I think we're going into
No,
a very good winter for once. You know, it's going to be a lot to see.
winter is coming.
Winter is coming, and that was said in a proper Northern way. Has there been any other news that you think that's non-Star Trek that you think, oh,
I mean, there's all sorts of stuff going on, coming out of convention seasons, and there's more television series, science fiction series, movies, things like that on the horizon. Probably too many to discuss now, but I'm sure we can get together in a future session and have a look at maybe some of the um, wider series, wider news coming out of the broader sci-fi arena. I think
definitely
it'd be
would
great
love
to
to. I would
cast our net.
I would love to do a Doctor Who one, to be fair, because there's loads coming out of Doctor Who. I'm very excited
Mm.
about the next series and the fact that we're getting like a mini series,
And a
which
new companion.
hmm yeah, there's lots that have come out of all the conventions recently, and I don't necessarily think it's too much because I've heard a lot of people going, oh, there's too much happening, there's too many changes. I'm like, but we've had several years where we've had none of that. We've had like
Mm.
what 3 years maybe where we had nothing because we had strikes, and then obviously we had COVID before that. There's been a lot of times where we've not had anything, and yeah, I think it's
Good
definitely
television takes time to make, is
yes,
what I would probably say. Like, I'd
yes,
rather them take the time and do it right and get a good show out of it than rush something out that's not very good.
yes. On that note, do you have any recommendations to give anyone? Televisions, book, film that you've seen that you think, oh, I need to share and everyone needs to go watch it?
Deadpool vs Wolverine, I think I went to see at the cinema recently. Absolutely worth seeing, especially if you're a Marvel fan. But no spoilers.
No spoilers. No. Yeah, that's a good one. I'm going to recommend Inside Out too because I went to see it and I had a little cry. So I think everyone else needs to go to the cinema and just have a little cry with me. I like to share that load. But I've got nothing else to add. This is a little episode because we thought we'd just give you a little bite size on a Saturday night when it's middle of summer.
I can't cope with more than 15 minutes on camera, so
This is 27 minutes.
damn it.
But yes, we'll see you next time. Stay lovely, stay logical. Bye now.